The NFC North is just running the league at this point in time.
This is the story of the NFL, right?
It's unbelievable. It's crazy. And you know what's funny? I can't stop thinking about this Lions-Vikings game. I can't stop thinking about it. Even like I cannot wait for Notre Dame and Georgia tonight. But when push comes to shove, it's always been the Vikings. It's always been the Vikings for me. I posted on my personal Instagram the little video of it says, she's worried about you with other guys. And then it just shows the guy lying in bed looking up with the Lions versus Vikings score.
Yeah, it's a go. I bet he's thinking about other girls.
Yeah, I bet he's thinking about other girls. No. The only thing on my mind is Lions-Vikings. 8:20 Sunday. I'm kind of going to coast till then. Like the gravity of it is really starting to hit me.
So at least when Georgia pounds Notre Dame, you'll see the Vikings to look forward to on Sunday.
Yeah, I'll still be really upset.
That's the silver lining.
I read a piece this morning from Frank Schwab, a senior writer over at Yahoo Sports. We're not sponsored. But he went through and considered, is this the single greatest regular season matchup of all time? And I think, it's easy to sit back and think, well, surely it's not. But it's very, very rare. You've got teams this good, this late in the season matching up at all. I mean, we've had Super Bowls with weaker teams than this. And it's not only a matchup of these teams, but the division's on the line. They're rivals. They're both having unusually good seasons. He came to the conclusion, I think, that besides like that 2007 Patriots-Colts matchup, obviously like undefeated Patriots of Randy Moss, undefeated Colts with Tom Brady or with Peyton Manning. But like this is one of the biggest regular season games we've ever seen.
Ziggy, I think it might have been the same article that I read. I just jotted down a few of the notes that were included, like the historical notes on this game. Most combined wins for any regular season game in NFL history, 28 between the two of them, both at 14-2. The winner will be the 9th team in NFL history with 15 or more wins. The loser will be the highest or the most wins ever for a wild card team. The Titans in 1999 had 13 wins. This loser will have 14 and be the 5 seed going to either Tampa Bay or Los Angeles or potentially even Atlanta. They're still in the mix. A couple other fun ones. There have only been 3 matchups in NFL history between two teams that were both 10 or more games over 500. That was 2005 between the Seahawks and the Colts, 1983 between the then Washington Redskins and the Cowboys, and 1926 when the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets played the Bears. I remember
that game.
Yeah, hell of a game.
Yellow Jackets are hell of a game that year. Everyone forgets.
My it's funny. My great grandpa was a Frankfurt Jackets fan. He told stories.
Was he a Frankfurt Jacket?
Did he play? Maybe
he could have been a player. You never know.
He's told stories about him.
The Frankfurt Yellow Jackets. And then this is the last time that we had the number 1 seed come down to the final week of the season was 1993 when the Cowboys beat the Giants in overtime. Emmitt Smith had 42 touches, 229 yards while having a separated shoulder. You can go on and on and on about the historical notes on this game. It's just, I can't wait for it. It's all I can think about.
I mean, there's got to be some games got to be the best in regular season. Why not this one? I mean, these are two teams who are 14-2. The winner gets the top seed. Loser will have 14 wins and likely won't host a playoff game, which is absolutely insane. I think this probably is the biggest regular season game ever. Like, what would top it? This is week 18. It's prime time.
I said it on the last show. It's going to be a playoff atmosphere in Detroit. They're going to be going crazy. It feels like a conference championship to me almost. Like it has that kind of weight behind it.
Yeah.
I just can't see a world where the loser goes on a Super Bowl run. I mean, they're good enough teams. I think the Vikings and Lions are 2 of the best 3 teams in the conference, but it's just so hard to go on the road and you have the extra game. And I don't really care what anyone says. I was talking to my friend Christian Lee about this with the college football playoff. I'd rather have one less game than have a more difficult road because you just never know what's going to happen. So in this situation in the NFL, it's different. But it's just, this matters so much to the chances of a Super Bowl for 2 franchises who are so starved of playoff success.
Also,
it's crazy.
So too, look at who wins this game. All they got to do is then go and win one home game and they're in the conference championship game.
But the problem is with this too, that could very well be that's going to be against a good team. Like the NFC, I think the NFC playoff teams, Ziggy mentioned this in the last episode, every team that deserved to be in got in for the NFC. Would every team has 12 or more wins except for the Bucs and the Rams, assuming Tampa Bay gets in, who are both very good teams. So it's going to be a struggle for anyone to wind up winning that conference. It's just home field. It's all hitting me right now. Ziggy, when you were looking at this game right here, obviously the secondary, the cornerbacks is a problem for Detroit. I mean, they had two great safeties. The injuries are a storyline that we're kind of pushing past it. You know, the Lions are who they are at this point, and they're still a very good football team. What are your initial impressions right now on Vikings Lions?
I'll be honest, I'm not even looking at the Vikings offense versus the Lions defense. I'm just assuming we're going to put up a pile of points because it seems like everybody's putting up a pile of points on that defense because they're injured. I'm just assuming the Vikings are going to get 30 or more points. Wow. I'd be shocked if that doesn't happen. And you could say, like, isn't that crazy? In their last 4 games, the Lions have given up 31 to the Packers, 48 to the Bills, 17 to the Bears, and 34 to a 49ers team that's basically quit on the season. It's like, this team's ready to play. On offense, I'm not worried about us. That doesn't mean we're going to win the game, though, because the big question to me is, how is this Vikings defense going to perform? Because the Lions, despite giving up all of those points, they're 2-2 in those games. And they easily could have won that Bills game. I know it was away from them a little bit in the second half. They could have won that game. So I think all the pressure is going to come down on the Vikings. The defense is finally starting to get healthy. We got some big players back last week. We saw the impact that made against the Packers. You don't have to shut down this Lions offense. I'll say it, you can't shut down this Lions offense. What you need to do is stop them a couple of times. And honestly, I'm not 100% sure we can do that.
Yeah, that's my fear as well. I was just getting dinner just now. I went into Cava. If you haven't had Cava, very, very nice place. You go in.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored. Unsponsored. But I was driving into Cava and I was thinking, again, this is all I could think about. I was thinking about Jared Goff and that Lions offense versus our defense. I was thinking back to the game we had, what was it, week 6, I believe it was, right off our bye week, when we were 5-0, and how they became unstoppable in the second half, really. And why I'm concerned about that potentially happening again, because even with David Montgomery out, the rest of that Lions offense is pretty much there. They're good to go. And yeah, that's my fear, Ziggy, is, all right, is Detroit going to become unstoppable, and can we keep up? I think the only reason that a Lion or Viking fan would doubt their team is, you think maybe Goff or Darnold don't show up, but they've been great all season. This might be the 2 best quarterbacks in the NFC this year as well. So I am worried about our defense. And maybe the reason that I'm so confident, and I'm not out here saying the Vikings are going to win by 1,000,000 points. I think we're going to win this game. And the performance we had against the Packers in week 17, that did a lot for me, because I had been really, really cautious about believing in the defensive unit after what the Rams and Lions did earlier in the year to them. And we've kind of played, mediocre to bad offenses since then. But Green Bay, who had been surging, we shut them down, and now I'm like, all right, you can't shut down Detroit, but if you slow them down, I think we can do this.
And what the Vikings have done a good job of so far against these teams, particularly Green Bay twice, and once on the road too, is the fast start. Like in Green Bay, look at when they got off, they got up to that start, punched them in the mouth. They were up by 14 points early, took the crowd out of it.
We did it to Detroit too. And then they came back.
Yeah, right. Yes. No, you did as well. Yeah. But that's super important now, especially in Detroit, and what's going to feel like an NFC championship level atmosphere, is to get the first score, get on the board early, try to get those stops. If Detroit goes up 7-0, 10-0, I think it's going to be very, very difficult. The first quarter and a half, establishing yourself, weathering the storm, is huge for Minnesota.
Well, the Lions in the second quarter, aren't the Lions? I think they're the best second quarter team in the league.
I wouldn't shock
me. They put up 21 points on us in the second quarter.
Yeah, I can't remember what the number is, but I believe they're the best by far in the second quarter. So beyond that, getting off to that hot start.
And the Vikings have done that against Green Bay twice, against Detroit. I mean, that's this crucial part for me.
The thing that just has me worried about this Vikings defense, I mean, I will not feel comfortable for a second in this game, no matter what the score is, because we've seen it. They can play in a game. I bet we're going to get 3 good quarters out of the defense, right? They've shown they can play pretty consistently. They can play pretty well. But over and over again in big games, the reason why the Vikings have been in so many one-score games You look at the Bears game. You look at the Packers game that just won. You look at the Lions game they lost. Like, this Vikings team can play 3 good quarters, and then there'll be one quarter that just stands out where defense gives up 3 touchdowns or 3 scores. Like, they've been prone to collapses very suddenly. And some teams, like the Packers, weren't quite able to take advantage of that. We were able to shut them down on the last drive. The Bears weren't able to take advantage of that. We beat them in overtime. I believe that if Detroit is in that situation, if our defense has one of those patented Vikings collapses, they're going to take advantage of it, and they're going to beat us. So the defense for the Minnesota is going to have to play more consistent. It's not enough, like it has been for most of the season, to play 3 good quarters.
I'm looking at, so an article that I also read was comparing the unit by unit breakdown for this game, matching them up. And I think it's kind of interesting if you go through it. Like, let's just do this real quick. If you have Darnold versus Goff, who do you give the edge to? I agree with the website. I think it's about even.
That's close. I'd probably give it to Goff slightly.
Would you go Goff as well, Ziggy?
Yeah, probably.
So it's very close. Yeah, I think it's very close. I don't think that Goff has a distinct advantage. I mean, Darnold the past few weeks has been unbelievable.
He's been sensational.
So
you play this game 100 times. I think they both played. One of them plays better than the other about 50 times each.
Yeah. So if you call that even, I think you take the Lions running back unit. Jahmyr Gibbs is a superstar. You take him over Aaron Jones. I think you probably take the Vikings at receiver and tight end. If you're comparing both.
Oh, with Justin Jefferson, yes.
Yeah, Justin.
Yeah, I mean, the Lions have good weapons, but it's Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison.
Again, pretty close. Even Laporta versus Hawkinson, like, these are 2 of the best offenses in the league. You're probably taking the Lions. You are taking the Lions offensive line. They're the best unit in football. But then defensively, we have a good one too. And then defensively, though, I think you're taking. Yes, again, updates. It's all sports right now. I think you're taking every unit on the Vikings. I think you take their D-line, their linebackers, and their secondary.
Yeah, I'd probably agree as well.
So it's going to come down to, can the Vikings get can they stop Detroit? Because I think the Detroit offense, even though you take the Vikings receivers and maybe you take Darnold, like, the Lions offense just has this unstoppable feel to them that the Vikings don't, and it's going to come down to whether or not, if we get some stops, I feel good.
I want to say, but it's a stupid thing to say. It's like, I want to be.
Stopped you before.
You're right. That's why I'm saying it. I just want to. A part of me is like, this is Sam Darnold in a big game on the road, but he's just been
I know.
Like, he's just been so awesome this entire year, where it's hard to go and say, this is the game where Sam Darnold crumbles. It's a must-win, blah, blah, blah. Because, I mean, he has
the thing you hold against the Vikings is that Sam Darnold is Sam Darnold. You're holding his past
that's
against
the only thing. Like, it's his name. Like, this is Sam Darnold, but he's been sensational.
Yeah,
there's one more thing you can hold against the Vikings, actually. Jake Bates has played lights out for the Lions this year. He's 25 of 28 on the season. He showed up big in San Francisco. Reichert is coming off a terrible game. I know the stat line says he was 2 of 4. Really, he was 1 of 4. We got very lucky on an offsides call that probably shouldn't have happened, that let him hit it afterwards. You're going to need better than 1 from 4 for your kicker in order to win this game for Minnesota. And, you see all the stories, they're stressing to him, every kick counts. You can't take kicks off. That's really not what I want to see coming up on the most important regular season game in franchise history.
Yeah, it is the most important. Like it is crazy how big this game is here, and it's kind of cool with the Lions, but particularly when you look at the field for the NFC, or for the whole playoffs. I'm sorry, Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings, unbelievable job this season. Dan Quinn and the Commanders, crazy good job this year. Rookie quarterback. Sean Payton and the Broncos, 1 win away from getting in against the Chiefs backups. We mentioned all these stories this whole season. The Steelers as well, bringing in Russell Wilson on the $1 million salary. Like, all of the storylines that we looked at, Jim Harbaugh. I mean, yeah, everyone. When we did this, in week 5 or 6, we did best storylines in football. All of those teams that had this kind of magical fairy tale feel to them early in the year have carried that into the playoffs. And it's kind of cool.
It never happens.
No, it never happens. It's pretty amazing to see that, you have rookie quarterbacks, you have coaches returning, you have redemption stories. It's just a really great season.
Russell Wilson is literally being paid this season. The Steelers are paying him the same amount as Leonard makes to play QB at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
which is absolutely
unbelievable.
Which is absolute insanity.
Actually, probably less.
Well, Leonard's making like 1.3 million. What's Russ like?
Yeah,
it probably is a little bit less.
I thought Russ was like $1 million. I thought Russ was $1 million.
Yeah, he's making less from the Steelers than Leonard is to play Notre Dame.
It's 1.2.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.